Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vice President, Head of UberEverything, Uber, Jason Droege, in discussion with Senior Editor, Skift Table, Kristen Hawley.
Hello. So as a reminder, as everyone has, we will take audience questions at the end of the session, so please do submit them. I am the editor of Skift Table. For the uninitiated, Skift Table covers the business of restaurants, as Skift covers the business of travel. And I'm super happy to share that we are hosting our first Skift Restaurants Forum in New York on September 24th. So it'll be a full day of restaurant-centric programming, all about the future of the business. Speaking of the future of the restaurant business, as head of UberEverything, Jason runs the UberEats business for Uber, which is what I want to talk about today. Eats is 2.5 years old and growing like crazy. Available in 250 cities in 35 countries. Per your CEO last week, Eats has a $6 billion bookings run rate.
Yep.
$6 billion bookings run rate.
Yep.
It's pretty impressive.
That was as of Q1. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so the bottom line is you're seeing incredible growth for the Eats business in a very short amount of time. Uber Eats is the fastest growing third-party delivery system in the country. I think you're also the newest.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what's driving growth for you? Is it restaurant interest, consumer interest, technology interest?
Yeah. So for us, Uber's a place that's always grown quick. We like to grow things quick. The rides business grew extremely quick. The company went from 0 cities in 2010 to 750 now. When I joined in 2014, we were in 90, and 4 months later we were on 140. That's on the rides business side of things. And we have a global operations organization that can roll out businesses very, very quickly when we have a product that works. So whenever you think about driving growth for Uber Eats, there's a number of ways. One is just through plain old city expansion. More cities drives growth. Through geo expansion in those cities. And of course, the more restaurants that are on Uber Eats, the more demand there is. So you have to have selection. It's a standard e-commerce model where you have to have selection first, consumers come, and the more selection you have, the better. So those things, and then once you have engaged consumers, having a reliable service that's low cost, that works all the time, that's fast, really matter. Because if you don't know if you're going to get your food in 60 minutes or 30 minutes or 90 minutes, you just don't engage with the service as much. So we focused a lot on making the service fast, and making it as reliable as possible, which is a huge amount of work. It's a very complicated operational problem to just hit a button and get food. And we're still not perfect. If you use Uber Eats, something has gone wrong at some point. I understand, we're working on it. And so we look at it as if we can just have it as simple as open the app, see the food that you want because we have some information about you, hit a button and get exactly what you want in that moment. That's a very powerful thing to drive growth.
So what do you know about me?
Well, we know your order history. We're just getting to know each other, so I don't know that much at the moment. But we know your order history. We know your browse history. We can tell what you've checked out. We know where you are. We know what time of day it is. So there's some very basic things. It's a lot of times technology is positioned as very, very complicated solutions to problems. And the truth is that there are some very simple signals that you can take to make an experience more relevant to you. When you're at home and at 6 p.m., if you have an order history of ordering clearly for a family, the restaurants that you see, even the menus that you see, might be more tailored to get you to a family meal, just as a simple example. If we see that you're at work and it's noon, odds are you're just ordering for yourself. And so the profile of types of food, price points, and even the customer interface, we've done some experimentation, especially at lunch, around just having almost dish-level items first. So you have your standard, food delivery app, which has a list of restaurants, and we're experimenting with, well, what if we pull some dish level items out and actually put those in, and then it pops you into the restaurant experience as a way to get you what you want faster.
Cool. Yeah. So that personalization that you mentioned is really fascinating to me as a diner. But I think you can recommend restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
You can recommend dishes, and you can recommend dishes at restaurants, right, based on order history.
Mm-hmm.
So if I love Thai food and I tend to order the same 3 things, if I'm looking at a new restaurant's menu, you can surface those items.
Yeah, exactly.
So personalization down to the individual menu item level.
Yeah, that's right. And so what you'll see in the app is when you go into a menu, there's something that says, it'll say like recommended or highlighted items section. I think we're experimenting with the terminology still. But that sometimes will change based on your order history, because menus are very long. So you have this offline model of, before you could have a digital interface for something, you had to print a menu and it had to be multiple pages, and there weren't really pictures because the photography on, doesn't really look as good in a menu that you print out. Well, now you have a digital interface, so how do you take advantage of the fact that it's dynamic, right? You go to Amazon or any e-commerce website, and there is some dynamic content there, right? They change things based on what they may or may not know about you to try to get you what you want faster. That hasn't really happened in the food delivery space. And so we're pushing a lot on that and investing a lot in that.
Cool. Yeah. I think it's fascinating, the level of personalization you can get to there. On broader terms, I'm curious how injecting technology into a business that is traditionally not very technical, the restaurant industry, has changed the way that you've seen restaurants operate just in the last 2 years.
Yeah. So I think there's 2 parts to that. The first is, in order to understand how to work with a restaurant, you have to have a very high appreciation for what they are awesome at. A restaurant might be one of the hardest businesses to run in the world. And so we've actually learned as much or probably more from our restaurant partners than they have from us with our, way the technology we provide. They have to be excellent operators, they have to be excellent marketers, they have to be branders, they have to manage a diverse group of labor. And so that's been very educational to us in terms of like, how do we improve our operations based on theirs? So the first is we have to understand what their needs are, what are their pain points, and often those things actually aren't what they seem on the surface. And so one way we've used technology to hopefully improve restaurants, or that they've engaged with, is and I'll give a couple examples. One is this thing called virtual restaurants, and that's where we use data about the restaurants that are available in an area or not available in an area to then recommend virtual restaurants that can be started inside of a restaurant. So, for example, a sushi shop, might be also a poke shop, right? But only on UberEats. And so why would a restaurant want to do that? Because the more that they can utilize their kitchen and the more they can turn inventory, the more profitable both businesses can be. And so we have the data about what's available in an area, so we can say, hey, if you offer this, you can actually improve your business, get more leverage on some of your fixed costs. So that's one. Another one is really simple, which is when you go into a restaurant and you eat something and you leave, it's hard to have a really tight feedback loop. But with a smartphone, you can get a tight feedback loop. We have dish level ratings, and then we surface those back to the restaurants. So simple things like that can have a powerful effect on what's popular, what's not, and just a comments field can let a restaurant know, like, hey, the risotto was better last time than this time, and then the restaurateur can correlate that with changing suppliers, for example. That's a real example, actually.
Okay. So restaurants like that granular level of feedback.
Yeah, it's hospitality, right? So they want their customers to be happy, and so the more information they have at their fingertips, I think they use it. They use it to improve their businesses.
Okay. So speaking of profitability, Eats is profitable in a number of markets, like a 4th or a 5th, perhaps. So how does Uber Eats make money in the restaurant business? Because it is a business of tight margins. People don't often go into restaurants to get rich. So curious how you're doing it.
Yeah, true. So we don't own the restaurants. We're a marketplace. So we charge a fee to the restaurant for sending them business, supplying them in the app. And then we charge, usually in the US, about a $5 delivery fee, and then sometimes there's a tip on that. And that's as simple as the business model is today. And from that, we pay out the driver, we pay for all the marketing costs, the customer acquisition costs, et cetera.
Cool. Is there surge pricing on
We call it busy area fee pricing. So
busy area fee pricing. Okay.
And so we do have that, and that's to bring. You have a decision you have to make whenever you run a marketplace like this, which may or may not have a driver available. Which is you can be unreliable, and you can extend the delivery time out like for a very long period of time until you think you'll have a driver, or you can try to control the demand side and maintain reliability. And so higher prices are one way to control demand, and that actually makes the entire marketplace more reliable. But it's a balance.
Cool. Yeah. How do the drivers make money?
So the drivers make money similar to how they make money on Uber. There's a pickup a fee that they get, a drop-off fee. They get distance and time in some markets. So very similar to Uber.
Okay, cool. I want to talk about McDonald's because it's a huge. So you are the exclusive delivery partner for McDonald's.
That's right.
In the world, worldwide?
Yes, in most countries in the world.
Okay.
That is right.
So it's 10,000 restaurants, over 10,000, I believe?
I think it's close to 10,000 restaurants on. They have 36,000 total.
Okay, all right. How has that helped Uber Eats growth?
Well, I mean, look, McDonald's is a huge brand, as we know. They're an amazing company. They're global. Their brand is very, very powerful. They have a price point that allows more people to use Uber Eats than before. When we rolled out Eats, we started with independent operators, and I think there's a lot of power in Uber being able to, with the hundreds of millions of dollars of investment we put in. One thing I'm very passionate about is giving big and small operators the ability to scale their businesses with the exact same tools. So with McDonald's, we've done that as well. McDonald's is a very familiar brand, a great price point. More people can use Eats, and in fact, they have said that about 70% of the people who've ordered on Eats wouldn't have gone into the store. So it's actually tapped into a new market. Like, for example, I mean, even for myself, I haven't been to a McDonald's in 10 or 15 years, but like I grew up eating McDonald's. And so now I can like tap a button and get it in sometimes 15 or 20 minutes to my house. That's an amazing experience.
Amazing because there's less shame involved than walking into a McDonald's.
I mean, it's amazing because the fries are amazing.
McDonald's is great. But
I feel no shame. I'm very proud of my McDonald's consumption.
All right, solid. Do you think? I mean, McDonald's really, as a restaurant editor, I can tell you, McDonald's is having a moment right now. They're really coming back. I think perhaps Uber is helping make them hip again or relevant, or.
Yeah, I wouldn't claim to take credit for it. They have a new CEO. They're doing a lot of very interesting stuff. They're sponsoring the World Cup this year, which I'm proud. I'm excited that we're a part of that. I mean, there's a lot of change going on there, and I think a lot of good stuff.
Cool. Yeah, one interesting thing that I do want to note about that partnership is that it is exclusive, which is kind of an anomaly. I think I've been watching, and an exclusive agreement just means that a particular restaurant or restaurant chain is tied to one delivery service out of many. What's the benefit to a restaurant to sign exclusively with one service? Because I would think that it would be better for a restaurant to sort of send orders to whoever wants to take them.
Yeah, totally. So, they obviously agreed to do the deal just as we did. And so I think the benefits for both are, excuse me, we are both very passionate about having the best customer experience possible, and that requires a very, very deep relationship at an operational level, at a marketing level, at a technical level, at a systems integration level. And so there's a huge investment that you might not do if you didn't have that level of deep relationship. There's also co-marketing that's done. And so the simplicity of being able to open up the Uber Eats app, hit a button, and have it come to you fast, on time, on quality, there's a lot of work that needs to be done at the restaurant level. And the exclusivity is just a representation of the mutual investment in that.
Okay. Cool. So systems integration, I want to be clear about this too because it's quite technical. The point of sale system that a restaurant uses is what sort of drives all of the operations in a restaurant. And you, with McDonald's and with these other big agreements that are exclusive or partners that you work with closely, are able to feed orders directly into their system. And that makes a big difference,
yes.
correct, in
yes,
how
it makes
they're
a huge
handled.
Difference. Yeah.
can you just speak to that?
Yeah.
Speak to the difference, please.
Yeah, of course. So for those of you who might not be familiar with how most food delivery networks work, including Eats, is when you sign up, you get a tablet. The tablet is connected to the Uber Eats system. When someone orders, the order goes through to the tablet. The problem with that tablet is that they already have an interface, which is the POS system, which all of the restaurant employees are using. And so now they have to maintain two systems. And often they have to transcribe from one system, the Uber Eats tablet, into the POS system. And as you could imagine, that's an error-prone process. And so when you can take that tablet and integrate it in with the POS system, the odds that someone is going to misinterpret or mistranscribe an order into the POS system goes down dramatically, and so the quality of service goes up. But also the employee in the restaurant's happier because they don't have to spend 45 seconds transcribing the thing over, and so morale goes up. So they just the employees like they're kind of our customers too. They have to be happy to work with us, and so they're happier, they're more responsive, and that's actually a big part of making it reliable. And then McDonald's can get some real-time information about what's going on, and so they can even make decisions on their end on like, okay, what happened last week or what happened yesterday with like our Uber Eats orders versus our in-store orders, and they can be smart about that. Whereas when it's separate, then it's just a slower process. And that's actually why we acquired a company called OrderTalk, which is a 10-plus-year-old company, I think even older than that. Tons of experience in doing these integrations, and so we've done these one-off. We really need to scale it, and that's why we acquired that company, is to build a team, systems to scale those integrations so that we can have the same experience across all restaurants.
Operations plus data.
Yeah, that's right.
Great. Cool. So we can go to some audience questions now. We'll start at the top. Realistically, how many food delivery services can a city support?
We use Slido at Uber too, so I'm very used to this interface.
Oh, good. Well, now you're comfortable. I can ask you the hard questions.
I don't know that that's... I'm trying to think how to answer that question intelligently. How many can they support? I mean, how many are there today? There's like 4 or 5 today that are decently sized. I think the question is how differentiated are they? The bigger the business is, the more valuable it is to each constituent in the marketplace. So I don't actually know how many it can support. In some ways, food delivery can almost be neighborhood-based, which is why the city concept might not be the right way to look at it. Like there are delivery services that are just focused around colleges, and they do a ton of trips, a ton of orders around colleges. So even within a city, you can have pockets or specializations. Some of our competitors focus on really high-end. They might charge more for delivery. We focus on trying to get you the best price possible, and then from a competitive standpoint, all we think about is the customer. So I don't really think about Amazon or Google. They can do whatever they're going to do. I can't stop them. But if we just continue to focus on customer problems, I'm confident that's a path to the most success that we could have.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go with the next top question. But why should we believe that Eats is socially responsible after everything that's happened at Uber?
Yeah, sure. So look, I mean, in the past 6 to 9 months since Dara has joined the company, we've changed the orientation and some of the philosophies on how we run the company. Historically, it was sort of growth first, push really hard, and Dara came in and one of the first things that he said to us is like, he said to the leadership team, to the company, like, hey, we're going to do the right thing, period. And that really caught on like wildfire at Uber. Like everybody really wanted almost permission to go and do the right thing. And that can be interpreted a number of ways, but that's sort of the start. If you've seen some of the work we've done with trying to do, give more insurance or amenities to drivers, for example, that's happened all since Dara's joined. So it really starts with his leadership. It's going to take time. We have to earn it. I'm not expecting that we just get it, but I've never been in a situation where the leadership is focused on working for good, increasing the sort of ethics and sort of business practices of a company, and really push that through and had it not happen. So I'm super confident that we'll get there.
Cool, great. Thank you so much for joining us
Great,
today.
thank
It was
you.
great to have you. Thank you, everyone.